Please be aware that the content of this podcast may be unsettling for some listeners. This episode contains discussion about the Christchurch mosque attacks of March 15th, 2019. If this story brings anything up for you, please talk to someone you trust. You can also free call 1737 to connect with a trained counsellor day or night.
What's up, boys? How's everyone doing today?
I'm good, bro. I'm good, alhamdulillah, yeah.
Woke up on the right side of the bed?
I was a bit tired, actually, when I woke up, Like, my eyes were hurting, but I got a text from this guy to open that and get myself up,
This guy.
I messaged this guy at 4 a.m, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing up at that time.
Freaking out about the podcast.
No. So what am I going to say?
What about you, Ashraf?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Just recovering from surgery.
How'd that go?
Well, it was successful, but just got to get my mobility back and then I should be 100%.
Do we want to do a little bit of an introduction going around? My name is Barez. Originally, actually, my passport name is Tayyib. But when I came to Christchurch, I chose to call myself Barez because of the meaning that it carries. I felt like when I came to Christchurch, it was a different version of me than who I was in Auckland. So originally from Afghanistan, 26. We came here in 2001, 1 month before September 11 happened. Currently, I'm studying engineering, civil and humanitarian. I just finished. So really stoked about that. It's a little bit about me.
My name's Zabi. When I moved to New Zealand, no one could really pronounce my name, so my primary teacher just called me Zabi, which is, Moved here in 2007. I'm originally from Afghanistan, like Bruce as well. I've lived here my whole life, been back a couple of times, but I'm 17 years old, just finished high school and looking to attend uni next year.
My name is Ashraf, originally from here. My father's from Singapore and my mum is from New Zealand. I'm 18 and I just finished my first year of university and I'm studying philosophy.
My name's Yaqub. I'm 18 years old. I'm from Somalia originally, but I was actually born and raised here in Christchurch. I'm heading into my second year of university next year, inshallah. And that's about it.
Just what you said now, like originally from here. Let's get into this topic real quick. Because I struggle with this quite a bit, right? Like always having to introduce yourself and be like, oh, I'm from this place. Because you know the person that's looking at you, if they're like, let's say European, their next question is going to be, but where are you really from?
Yeah, exactly.
So you'd say it to them before they actually even ask you?
Before they make any guesses.
So what do you guys think about this? Like, how do you feel about it? Does it faze you or do you just not care?
I mean, it's whatever to me, but like, if someone, I was born and raised here, but if someone asks me where I'm from, I'm forever going to say Somalia. Like, I'm not going to say, I'm a Kiwi or whatever. I don't know, maybe that might be just because I don't look like your typical Kiwi or whatever. So like I'm aware that question might be coming from people. So I just say I'm from Somalia.
Gotcha. This idea of a typical Kiwi though, what's that in your mind?
It's not me.
It's not you?
No,
real?
bro. I mean, like, I'm visibly like African, you know what I mean? Like, I've got
Why
dark
can't
skin.
that be Kiwi though?
I don't know, bro. It's just like that, But I don't know, bro. I think people are just It's a strange question, bro. I feel like it's got like a deep reasoning behind it.
It's like sometimes you can just look at people, like when I walked in and the brother was sitting down, just by looking at him, I just knew he was Afghan. And I'd never seen him before, I'd never met him. I just knew he was Afghan.
Gotcha.
When I introduce myself as a Muslim, usually I get like doubts or kind of skepticism. I have to explain that my father's from Singapore, my mother's from here, and that's why I look like this. People don't like realize that I'm Muslim because I appear like European. But when it comes to culture, I very much like I'm a part of the Kiwi culture because that's the only culture I really know. Because I've only been back to Singapore once and like I've just grown up here. So
that's interesting, see, because he's also grown up here and but he's clearly saying that I don't feel like.
No, but like, isn't like part of your family like Kiwi though?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I feel like
I'm
that's
trying to
where it
break
comes
that
from.
down, Yaqub,
I feel like
see?
that's where it comes from, mate. But at the same time, like I still acknowledge like that I was born and raised here. That in a way, I'm a Kiwi and I like this country and its culture and all that. But yeah, when it comes to introducing myself, I feel like yeah, I sit more closely to my Somali side because that's all I've ever known growing up.
Do you think there will come a time potentially where you can be like, you know what, I'm a Kiwi?
Potentially, yeah, potentially.
Nah, I
Potentially.
don't reckon
No,
I'll ever
still?
say that.
Still,
Nah,
I hope that changes though. That's the goal, right? Like for you to live here and raise your children here even and be like, you know what? Yeah, my motherland is Afghanistan,
Yeah.
but I am a Kiwi. You know what I mean? But I get what you mean. I'm the same. I don't feel like I'm from New Zealand at the moment.
yeah. I don't think until you bring like a generation through here, you'll feel like this is your home, like or this is where you're from. You're a Kiwi.
And I feel that now that my son's actually born in Christchurch, I want to raise him, or my wife and I want to raise him thinking New Zealand's home or Aotearoa's home, you know?
Because he was born here, do you just feel like a part of you belongs here now? Do you
Oh,
get what
100%.
I mean?
Yeah. My wife and I talk about it often, like especially Christchurch. We'll forever be tied to Christchurch. Yeah, I think we need to start thinking of Aotearoa as our place for the sake of our future generations.
Yeah.
Yeah, because back home, things don't look too bright.
No, they don't, brother. They don't. Do you guys have any idea of what's happening back home or where you initially
I
identify
mean,
with?
me, like, I've never been to Somalia or even like
Never?
Africa. But
Interesting.
like, I know that there's a reason that my family came here. So like, you know, I'm aware that over there, like, if I grew up in Somalia, I probably wouldn't have been able to go to school and a lot of other things like that, you know. In a way, that's why like I am kind of grateful, like, do acknowledge like my Kiwi side.
It's looking different now, though. People
Yeah,
are
no,
like,
it's looking, yeah.
people like yourself is going back to Somalia. And
Yeah, like the diaspora, it's been like
Yeah,
a big trend recently. Like a lot of people going back to Somalia, you know, like investing, like starting businesses in that. And yeah, no, it's something that I definitely want to do at some point in my life.
So, I mean, Singapore is a very stable country. You know, there's no problem really. I guess the reason why my dad moved here is because of love. You know, that's like the only reason. And it's very similar to New Zealand because it's so multicultural. Just like New Zealand with, you know, indigenous, Māori, Europeans, and you see like there's more people coming through too. Like there's so many cultures, just like in Singapore.
Yeah, for me personally, with like Afghanistan, I'm kind of just like in the loop of all the news and stuff that happens because of family. Like when you go home, that's all they talk about, like Afghan politics and what's happening back home. And I feel like sometimes they just get too stuck up on what's happening there and forget about what they could be doing here.
Man, that environment at home, like parents sitting in front of the TV watching the news, you know what I mean? That typical thing. And man, and it's ongoing too, you know? And you see the atrocities happening over and you're like, ah, far out. I feel so bad for my parents sometimes. You
Yeah.
know? They're like caught in that and they can't live their life here. in a
Yeah,
way.
that's exactly.
It sucks, man. It sucks. I wanted to go into our childhood, right? Like even
Yeah.
growing up here, 'cause I think we all grew up here. What's something that you would change?
Before the March things happened, I used to think school was like, school is everything. But I used to think school was everything. I thought like my grades would define me and I'd not go on like social gatherings and stuff just to like study and try to get good grades because I'd feel bad about myself if I didn't get as good grades as my mates did. And like growing up and after realizing that school won't define you, your grades won't define you, and like doing things outside of school, life doesn't just depend on school. That made me a lot more.
Gotcha. So you'd be more sociable or
Yeah,
care
like-
more about the...
Like not care as much about, don't let my grades define my happiness. This whole year, I'd just be thinking about what am I going to do at uni and what's going to happen next year, what are the possibilities. And I didn't really get to enjoy my last year at school. I feel like I could have got so much more out of it. That's one thing I'd change.
Interesting. Okay. What about you, Jakob?
I just apply myself more, right? Apply myself more in my academics, football as well. Like, just put myself out there. Like I was, like there were so many opportunities that I could have put myself forward for, but I just didn't. I don't know. Maybe I had the idea that, like, you know, I wasn't that kind of person or something. But like I don't have that anymore, which is good. As I grew up, it kind of like just went away. Like when I was younger, I was a bit more quiet, but yeah, nah, I would definitely apply myself more.
Cool. What about you, Ash?
It'd be think more presently, stop worrying about the future.
That's a good one.
Because when you're worrying about the future, you kind of don't live in the present. And now looking back, I wish I thought more of the present. I would have enjoyed my time back there a lot more.
Living in the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
How do we do that? How do we live in the moment, guys?
It's a bit hard to live without constantly just, I feel like we naturally just think about, you know, what we're going to do.
Long-term goals.
What we're going to do tomorrow, what we're going to do the day after, what we're going to do in a week's time, a month's time.
I feel like we set those long-term goals, but to have the ability to like knock them down, you got to have all these like little short-term goals. Like I saw this little video of a US Navy SEAL, and he was up on the podium and he was talking about you should have like a list of things you want to do when you wake up, and the first thing on that list should be making your bed in the morning. Just making that bed in the morning gives you the confidence to knock another thing off that bucket list. And I feel like it's that if we can start doing that and focus on like little small goals, I feel like that will make us appreciate the present time a lot better.
I tend to, like when I'm with my wife, family, turn off my phone and I'm fully in the moment. I look at my son and every single move that he makes, like just looking at the minor details, like you said.
Yeah.
And you just appreciate life and you're grateful, you know, for that moment.
I feel like everyone has that sense of like therapy in their life, whether it be family, friends, or like sport. Like I feel the exact same thing happen when I play football or whatever. It's just time slows down. Like when you focus on like the littlest things, you enjoy it so much more.
Yeah, you're like locked in, bro. Like when I'm playing football, like I'm locked in. Like I'm never that, I wouldn't say I'm that focused on anything else, to be honest.
Such an escape, honestly.
Yeah, it's a good feeling, man.
When I like finished school, had a stressful day, whatever, you just go to the training ground. When you start training, like everything's out the door.
Yeah.
Like you don't think about anything else apart from playing football, like an hour and a half, 2 hours a piece, and then you go back to sanity.
I feel like physical exercise is a good form of like therapy, bro. Not even therapy, just like getting your mind off things, like blowing off some steam, bro. Literally as well, like breaking a sweat, that'll help you so much.
Different people like tend to have different types of therapy. Like some people use religion as a type of therapy.
Yeah,
like,
that's one as well for me.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're stressed out, just go pray. It helps out. What do you think, Ash?
For me, it's books, eh?
Yeah.
It serves as like an escape from reality, like a portal into another world.
Exactly.
Yeah, escapes. Like there's a lot of things that like our religion has prescribed for us as well. If you're like going through like stress, trials and tribulations and stuff, and one of them is you can pray Sahara in the middle of like the last third of the night, bro. That's when Allah descends to like the lowest heaven, you know. And then we've got so many things there for us. Basically what it is if you're going through trials and tribulations, you pray and then you basically just let everything out, bro. Like you can make dua, you can ask Allah for you know, help with whatever you're going through, you know. And that's one thing that has helped me if I'm ever like stressed with uni, just stressed with life in general. Just praying, bro. Blowing off steam, getting rid of stress, that's one of the best ways like you can possibly do it, eh?
And it, like prayer 5 times a day, mandatory. It's like like you wake up in the morning, 5 o'clock, whatever, like woke up today at 5 o'clock. It's the first thing you do. Go do wudu and you go pray.
Yeah.
First thing you take up, like recently I've been trying to start waking up earlier because it makes your days longer and like you be way more productive. So like waking up, praying, and then like going to the gym or something, and time just passes and by the time people wake up, you've knocked so many things off your bucket list.
Yeah. When I was younger, it was more just pressure from my parents to pray, like read Quran and all of that. So like there was a phase when I grew up and like I had the choice where I didn't really like used to pray as much. But then like after the shooting and everything that happened, I tapped back into that part of me and I've been praying consistently ever since. And like the change is crazy, bro. I was actually watching a video the other day and I was talking about how basically like the 5 daily prayers, like they're not long, they take like maximum
10 minutes,
maybe like
nice.
5 minutes. It's basically just like an escape from everything that you got going on throughout your day. And it's actually like a good breath of fresh air, bro. Like it's a really good breath of fresh air.
And it's this idea of submitting to the one and only, right? Like your creator. If you think about it in life, when we're going about our daily life, we have to deal with all these things, you know, all these other external things that we are obliged to. And sometimes it pisses us off, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to deal with this.
And sometimes when you focus on religion, you put things into perspectives, like those things won't matter.
Yeah, it gives you structure as well, like, you know.
So faith is huge in you guys' life?
Yeah, 100%.
Structure, big thing.
100%.
Especially living in New Zealand.
Definitely. It's hard to stay motivated, bro. Like living in a country like New Zealand, like a non-Muslim country, it's hard to find that motivation, but I need it. Personally, I need it.
It's hard
And you
work.
need to be self-motivated as well because your parents can only motivate you so much.
Yeah.
That's what it was like for me growing up. But then when my parents stopped kind of like motivating me in that, it was down to myself. And then like alhamdulillah, I started praying again and doing all of that stuff. And now that I've started, I can't stop. I can't picture my life without it.
What about you, Ash? Do you feel like faith is a big part in your life?
I think it should be. It's not as much. I wish I had that motivation, that desire to be motivated. But that's something I think I have to find inside myself and not like let other people try and motivate me, I guess.
Yeah.
How'd you guys find it? Like, because we're like around the same age range, like growing up like as a Muslim here. What obstacles did you guys kind of face? Because I know personally, like there were a lot of things that kind of got in the way. Like growing up, I wasn't really vocal about being a Muslim. I used to just keep it like pretty low key. When I was at school, like I wouldn't pray and stuff. I wouldn't do any of this. And when it came to like the only reason people knew I was Muslim really was because like, you know, like at the canteen, like I don't eat this, I don't eat that. You know what I mean? Yeah, they were like, oh, okay. But then I feel like when I was like year 12, that's when the mosque stuff happened, like the shooting and everything. And then after that, I became like a bit more vocal about it. I feel like maybe that might be something to do with like the reception that Muslims got after everything that happened. But yeah, no, I feel like I kind of used to suppress it and just keep it low key. Like I wouldn't practice publicly. I wouldn't talk about Islam the same way I do today to non-Muslims. Like I was one of the only Muslims in my school. So I feel like that could have been a thing. I don't want people to look at me differently or whatever. You know, I was Somalian as well. Like I was one of the only black people in my school too. Yeah. So I just kept it low key. I didn't really tell anyone about it. What was it like for you guys?
Well, for me, I never really suppressed it, because I guess like the school Zabi and I went to was very, very diverse, and I always like to be different from like the rest of the crowd, so I never really kept that hidden.
The schools I went to, like my siblings and my older sisters, and they all went to those schools before me, so the teachers knew that I was related and I was Muslim as well. So I didn't really have to say it, but when I'd introduce myself, it's not one of the things that I'd include in it. So like when I got closer with my friends and stuff, they all knew. I'd tell them that I'm Muslim and this is what I can't do and this is what I can do. And I still do that to this day.
Yeah.
And I feel like it still hasn't changed. When I introduce myself initially to someone, I won't tell them that I'm Muslim. But if they're the type of person who will get to know me more and be more like, be a proper figure in my life, like then they'll know that I'm Muslim.
Yeah. No, I feel like back then as well, like when people would ask me to do certain things that I couldn't do because of my faith, I would give them other answers rather than just being straight up with them like, oh, I'm a Muslim, like I would today. But yeah, I feel like that's just another part of what I was saying before.
I feel like with some people, I'll just let them figure out that I'm a Muslim by the way I carry myself. Like, I won't straight up tell you that I'm a Muslim, but I'll be like, oh, I can't come because I have to pray or something.
Yeah, now I just see it like, if people ask me questions, I just see it as like an opportunity to inform them, you know, because you never know, bro. Like you could talk to someone and then you could be the reason that they like want to learn more about Islam, that you could be the reason that they want to become a Muslim, you know.
I feel like since the mosque shootings have happened, people have like shown more of an interest in our religion, and I see that by like my friends and like people I play football with and my coaches. They ask me like, they ask me questions about our religion and stuff, and a few of them have been asked to like come to the mosque and stuff. I'm real grateful that they want to learn about it, because them wanting to learn about it, it makes me happy.
Yeah, no, it's a responsibility of ours as well, as Muslims, you know. Like if we go out and act like maniacs, bro, like do this and that, then they're gonna associate that with Islam, because there's not many Muslims here. So if you're acting in a certain way, they're gonna be like, oh, you know, maybe all Muslims are like this. Yeah. If you carry yourself in like a positive way, then they might think that in the opposite sense, like, you know, maybe these Muslims aren't that bad. You know what I mean?
A big thing about like being Muslim, especially when I was younger at school and stuff, fasting, the fasting month, I feel like that was a really good opportunity for me to like inform people and let people know about.
Yeah, definitely.
But at times I feel like it was also a challenge. At primary, I still remember how we'd have to sit down and wait until we'd finished our lunch before we can get up and play.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, like we'd be fasting and like we won't be able to like get up until it was like 15 minutes or something mark, and we'll just be sitting down like just staring into thin air, and then we can go get up and play.
Yeah.
And it was
Nah,
just, like,
speaking
little
about
things.
fasting as well, like we were talking about discipline before.
Yeah.
Like basically what we do during Ramadan is like you step away from all of your desires. Like you're not allowed to eat. If you're married, you're not allowed to, anything intimate with your wife. So basically those who like food.
Within a specific period of
Within
time.
while you're fasting,
Sunrise to sunset.
So like, bro, like that's like the ultimate discipline, and it really like humbles you and makes you realize like,
those are just
what's important. Like knowing what's important, like Ramadan, like that's a good time when it comes to that.
It gives you a sense of gratitude as well, and we tend to like focus more in on our deen, especially during that month, like trying to get the most out of it, trying to go to the mosque as much as we can, and try to go to every tarawih that we can.
It's my favorite part of the year, to be honest.
Yeah,
like
no,
when it
same.
comes around, man, I'm a different person.
Yeah,
I'm just
Ramadan,
so
bro.
happy.
Like, and then what's sad is like afterwards you can slowly like feel it going back down. But I wish I could keep up like that level throughout the whole year, bro. That's like the ultimate goal,
So coming back, we wanted to talk about this idea of fun and what is fun for you guys as young Muslim men living in Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Yeah, nah, bro. Growing up here, right, like going to school and stuff, people invite you out like to a party or something. I'd usually just say like, no, like, I'm a Muslim. I don't drink. I don't do this. And then they'll be like, they'll usually follow that up with, oh, like, what do you do for fun? A question like along those lines. And then I'm kind of just like, what? Bro, I hate that question so much. But for me, bro, I feel like here, the idea of fun is so associated with getting drunk. I don't know why that is. I can stay home like on a Saturday night when everyone is out and just play FIFA and have just as much fun, if not more, than everyone else, eh?
So you don't understand that
I don't understand that
of
notion,
drinking,
of you have to like have alcohol to have fun, you have to go to parties, you have to do this, that to be like cool, quote unquote cool or whatever.
For me, I don't have to like force myself not to go to parties or that because I genuinely don't find them fun.
Yeah, same.
Like as an introverted person, like I'd rather stay home. That's what like I get pleasure from, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know. I like the main thing that I feel myself getting fun from and enjoying the most is just football. It's always been an escape because it's something that I enjoy the most. Yeah, growing up here, there's a lot of like peer pressure. Like for example, I'll go to work on the weekends and some of my mates, they'll be probably like going out and stuff and they'll ask you like, oh, you should come and stuff. And they know that I don't drink, but the other people, like the other mutual friends or whatever, they wouldn't know. There's a lot of things like football and work and stuff that keep me grounded, even though I might fall victim to peer pressure of like, oh yeah, I'll come out. There's still things in place like football that I use. Saturday morning I'll have training. Sunday morning I have training. So I don't have time to do it. Friday night I work. Saturday morning I have to go to training. So like there's not enough time for me to do that. And we talked about structure earlier. I feel like having that structure in my life is really like, it's really important to keep me in line, especially in New Zealand. Yeah, I feel like it comes back to being content with yourself.
Exactly.
Yakub speaks about like, I'd much rather stay at home and play FIFA at night. And I feel the exact same way. Like I have so much more fun if I just stay home, play some PlayStation with some friends online. Yeah. Like I would genuinely have more fun that way.
Is there a thing about you avoiding social
No,
gatherings
because that's
as
what I was
well?
actually about to say. Like I would, let's say like the Muslim boys or something, they were like linking up at someone's house to play FIFA. I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't like going out or whatever, but as an alternative to like going to parties, drinking, all that stuff, I'd much rather stay home,
Yeah.
There's
But I'm not
limitations to
person.
that though, because you need interaction, bro. Like
We're social creatures.
you
We need
exactly. You need interaction. Like
Yeah,
we
you need-
crave it. It's an innate thing. It's not something that we can really control. But at the same time, like if you're constantly like wanting to be out there and wanting to be like the center of attention, then there might be like some deep stuff behind that.
Because what it comes down to, like when you're developing from teenage up onwards, up until like 20, 25, you're looking for your tribe or your clique, and you're really desperately seeking it. So it's like, how can you remain conscious of the process that you're going through so you don't fall into a group that you're not meant to be with?
It's so
you know what I mean?
important as well, bro. Like you gotta have good friends, man.
But it comes down to knowing yourself before you know your friends, though.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
if you don't know who you are and what you stand for, you can't really join a good group.
But when you're around like a good group of friends, like you know that you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, because it's really easy to slip off into the abyss, right?
So easy, bro.
Get
So
lost
easy.
in the sauce.
Yeah,
that was
because
the term used for it.
yeah, so and I almost got lost in the sauce, to be honest with you. Like for me, it was difficult because growing up, I never felt like I fit in with anybody, but I was trying really hard. You know what I mean? Like you'll try please people just so you can feel like you're a part of a group. And I couldn't find that. And then in like intermediate school, I found a group of Afghan guys. And I was like, yo, this is my clique. You know what I mean? These guys finally get it.
My
Like,
gang.
I don't have to pretend to be a certain way. They just get it. But the thing was, when we got together, we were getting up to mischief because they were all going through that same thing, right? They were all looking for like a group. So I guess we were trying to be cool as well. And yeah, got up to a bunch of stupid stuff. I remember the first school I went to, and at that time, to me, it seemed like it was a majority white school. My brother got along with a lot of the people there because he was kind of whiter than I was, but I was a little bit different. And obviously, him being young, he's like, don't come play with me. You know, you're too young. You go do your own thing. So I was a bit of a lone, I would say, and I'll get into a lot of fights with people. So some days it would be because stuff that I had seen on TV about Afghanistan,
Yeah.
and then I would be carrying that baggage into school.
Yeah.
And then a teacher would tell me something, and then I'll be like, F you. Or a young guy would say something, and I just want to take my anger out on him, you know?
Yeah.
But it wasn't like he hadn't done anything. They would pick on me,
Yeah.
and I'd be like, all right, sweet.
Did you experience any like racism while you're at school?
It is racism, but then again, it's stuff that most kids go through as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at the time, I didn't think of it as racism. I was too young. And the young people that were acting that way towards me, they probably didn't think of it as racism either. So for me, I think it was always finding a sense of identity about who am I? You know, I'm in this country. Everybody looks different to me. My religion isn't practiced. I don't know much about anything. So yeah, just finding out who I was very important to me at that young age, and I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after getting expelled from two high schools,
Yeah.
I went to Pakistan. I think I was like 15-ish.
Yeah.
Even in Pakistan, I wouldn't even go to school. I'd wag there as well.
Yeah.
But the principal was like, you know what? If you pay your fees, I'll write you a letter. So I was like, all right, sweet. So I just do whatever I want. And I got the certificate at the end of it, came back and went to a college in Auckland. Was there literally for like a couple of months and then got kicked out of there as well. So
So
It's
how'd
never
you,
worked out
yeah,
for
like
me.
how'd you go from that to like like mashallah graduating from engineering at UC?
yeah.
That's like a massive turnaround.
Yeah, the amazing thing is, like, I always knew that what I was doing wasn't right, like what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
I always knew that this isn't true to who I am, like smoking, going out with friends, doing all that. Like,
Yeah.
I knew this wasn't me, you know, and I felt bad throughout it.
Yeah.
But I'd still do things to just numb the pain because I didn't really know who I was. And I wasn't taking the time and effort to find out who I am. So a huge turning point in my life was actually a certain situation that happened. I don't want to talk about it,
Yeah.
but that gave me perspective because I had to reflect on who am I? Why am I doing these things? Why am I hanging around with these certain people?
Yeah.
And I realized, like, a lot of the people that I hung around with, they didn't even align with my values. So I made that switch. Stopped drinking, stopped smoking cigarettes, like all of a sudden, straight away. And I had been doing it for like 6-7 years.
How do you recommend like people getting out of that?
Getting out of that cycle of not
yeah.
being happy with themselves.
Yeah, and that kind of lifestyle, I guess.
Again, it all comes back down to finding out what really are your values, what means the most to you, you know? That's really difficult to do, and you need help with that. Like, you need to go and read books. You need to speak with people who know you as well, you know? Like my brother, he would always remind me, like, of something I had said when I was a kid. Conversating with people like that who can remind you, oh, this is what you were like when you were a young child, to just find out more about who you really are.
I feel like we need to express more that everyone has their own journeys.
Yeah,
Because I
definitely.
still remember was it this year? No, it was this year when we went to that Inspired event and like hearing different successful people talk about, they left high school not knowing what they were going to do. They weren't that successful at high school. Seeing that everyone had a different journey, it lets you know that it's all right to not, it's all right if something goes on that's not along the lines of like what seems perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, but then again, there's like pressure because obviously we come from like pretty like traditional families, you know.
Yeah.
Just finish high school, go to uni, get married.
That
So if you don't follow that traditional path, there might be a bit of pressure on you, you know what I mean?
That's what I was going to ask bros about, because being Afghan, you know the pressure, like getting married and going to uni and getting a degree. How did you cope with that pressure that you were getting from home?
Home wasn't really pressuring me in a way because I was lost in the sauce, right? So I was like, I was basically never at home. And when I came home, I'd just get changed and boom, I was out the gate again, you know? So when I actually realized, hey, this isn't what I want to do, I actually want to, you know, go to university, I told my mom, I was like, look, I'm ready to get married. I don't want to go out and do these other things, you know what I mean? So I was prepared for it. I didn't have that pressure. You guys said that 15th of March was in a way like a turning point. And
Yeah,
then you
definitely.
mentioned that, Yaqub. What caused that? You're shaking your heads, obviously.
Nah, I
no?
just think it opened. Yeah, I think it just opened
Okay.
our eyes.
Yeah.
That put everything into perspective. Like tomorrow is not promised, because back home you'll see people pass away and stuff, but like over here we don't really see people pass away in such a way.
Yeah, exactly.
I never imagined that someone that I knew would go to the mosque one Friday and not come back.
Yeah.
You just don't think about it.
People like younger than us as well. Like
Like
it was a bit mad. Like people younger than us, like going to the mosque on a Friday and then, you know.
it was a normal Friday.
It was
like
a crazy thing,
Just
bro.
your typical Friday. Like you'd have the same conversation with your parents in the morning. Like they'd ask you, "You gonna come to Friday prayer?" You'd be like, "I got school, whatever."
Like I still remember it, like
it's so vivid in your
so
mind.
vividly, bro. Like I had PE, right, and we were in the gym, and then the dean pulled me out of class, and I was like just thinking like, what did I do? I was like retracing like everything I did that whole day, lunchtime interval, and then I was like, oh damn. And then he told me like my sister was in the office, and she seemed quite anxious, and then I was like, what? And then I saw her come out, and she was crying, and then she told me what had happened, and then at that point like we didn't know where my mum was and my brother, because they were at the mosque as well. So like for 10 minutes, like I had no idea what was going on, and it didn't really sink until we went home, and it was like all over the news and that, and like that horrible video, like I ended up seeing that as well. And then that's where it all kind of like, you know, I was like, damn, like this is actually real. And then like for that whole day, like the next few hours, we were just getting like phone calls like this person's missing, like this person's that. And
our whole school went into lockdown, and like, you know how you have that feeling like what's happening and stuff. So like I just went on to Google and I searched up stuff, and it just said shooting at mosque. It didn't have any numbers or anything. And I was like thinking like what could have happened. And like our whole school was in lockdown. I literally just walked out, like ran home because I live pretty close to
and
home.
like I was on like Twitter as well, and like the most famous people were talking about it, bro. Like YouTubers that I'd watch every day, they were tweeting about it, like, oh, condolences to this. That's when I realized, like, damn, like this is actually serious, you know.
And like from that day, from that moment, like as soon as I got home, that 6 to 8 month period, it was just that. All that was in your mind was that mosque thing that happened. Because like personally, with my uncle passing away, that whole like everyone who came to see him from Auckland and stuff, they were all at my house. So like, there was like a 3 month period in that year where I didn't even go to school. Being Afghan, like having to cater to them with like Afghan hospitality, like Buriz will know. I literally didn't go to school. I'd just be at home catering to like guests from Auckland.
And you're the one who's lost someone, right?
Yeah, but
catering to other people.
I feel like
That's culture.
that was like a good escape as well.
is,
Like
yeah.
it takes your mind away from it. The thing is, like, I remember it so vividly as well, and
like,
I hate thinking about it.
all
like,
of the
Oh man,
This-
sorry for bringing it up.
This is like my first time properly thinking about every single day
No, but
since
it's like,
that event.
I haven't talked to anybody about this topic, to be honest. So like, I feel like it's good to
Get
Yeah,
off
I
about
feel
it,
like it's important for us to talk about it, you know, how we felt after it, how we feel about it now.
Yeah.
Ashraf, do you want to speak a little?
Yeah, so my brother passed away. I was at school. Usually I would go with him to Friday prayers, but that day I had an English exam. And I remember being in Spanish and Googling it, and I told my teacher, this is happening. I need to like call my parents and stuff. And right then I expected like the worst case scenario, the best case scenario, that there was just like, I don't know, a few gunshots fired or whatever.
Yeah.
But then I heard like my mum, and I knew it was serious because she was there. And when she said that my brother, they couldn't find him, and that he wasn't like picking up, it didn't sink in. I thought he was hiding somewhere or he was helping out and he just didn't pick up his phone. But then as the day, you know, like after each hour, it got worse and worse. And then when we were at the hospital and finding out, man, that was absolute rock bottom for me. Because I felt a sense of guilt, like not being there.
Yeah, no, I felt that as well. I felt as well, like younger people being there, and then me, like, you know, being at school, like they go to school as well, and they still found a way to go there, you know, and pray every Friday.
But it's meant to be, right? You guys are here for a reason, you know? Whatever you've experienced right now, you're here for a reason. I feel like that's what we need to take away from this. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed us to live, right? You know, and we need to think about that.
Yeah.
You know, and make the most of it.
It taught me the lesson that, you know, life can just be gone in an instant.
It's not promised.
You know, you could leave life right now, let that determine what you do, say and think.
One of the younger kids who passed away, he was like 3 years old, and I was pretty close with him, eh? So like hearing the news about him, bro, like that fully broke me, eh? Like with the older brothers who died, it was a bit more acceptable because there were guys who were at the mosque like all day, every day, you know, and if they were gonna die anywhere, like, you know, they would have wanted to die in the mosque, you know, but with a young kid like 3 years old and some other guys as well, like 15, 16, you know, in their 20s as well, like it's a bit hard to accept, eh?
I feel like our community is like really small as well. So like even if you didn't directly talk to everyone, you had made some type of contact.
I remember
with everyone.
seeing like the photos of like some of the people who passed away as well. Like I knew almost all of them by face. Like, you know, you just don't know them by name, but like when you see them at the mosque, like you'll shake their hands and stuff. And yeah, I still remember like the first day I went back actually. So my sister's husband's dad, he was always at the mosque. Like he always used to sit in this one spot. So I remember going back there for like the first time after it, and like I went into that room and he wasn't in that spot. That's why I was kind of like, you know, like damn, like that's actually happened, you know.
There was one man that passed away. There was a Somali man, and he lived like really close to me. He lived like a couple of blocks behind us, and like he'd always walk to the mosque.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
bro. That's what I'm talking about.
He'd always walk to the mosque, and like no matter what, like we'd stop. Yeah, we'd stop. We'd offer him rides and stuff, but he knew how much sawab and like he was gaining from
every
that.
Step, bro.
So every
step.
day you just see him walking to the mosque, and like, you know how he's an old man, so you obviously stop, like offer him a ride and stuff, but he'd never take it. And just seeing him, I was like, kind of kicked in, like not seeing him walk every Friday.
Like those guys, it's a bit more easy to accept, you know, that they passed away like in that way, because you definitely know like that's what they would have wanted. They lived a long life, you know. But for the younger guys, it's just a bit. It was hard. It was pretty hard to get over.
Do you guys carry any sort of anger from that?
I mean, there's not really much we can do, and I don't see how anger would like, you know, have much of an effect on like. Me personally, I'd say no. Maybe like in like the short aftermath of it, yeah. But as of now, like no, I don't think there's any reason to like carry any anger.
I'm not gonna lie. A couple of months after it, when like a lot of people were like, I forgot the word. They were trying to express their like sympathy, trying to show sympathy. Like that would really anger me. I barely used my phone during that period. I'd go on my phone and like people I haven't talked to in a while, people that you genuinely kind of stay away from, message me trying to show sympathy and stuff. And for that period of time, like 6 to 8 months, I was just like, when people would talk about it, I'd kind of just zone myself out and not really get involved. There would be like topics that we'd have a debate in history and stuff, and it'd come up and everyone would, you know, everyone's just like looking at you and you just like kind of zone yourself out. Like, why do we have to talk about this?
Yeah.
We tend to go to the mosque at least once a week. There's a lot of people that I know still today that haven't built up the courage to go back. I just think it was like something that you had to do, because the mosque is like, you just have to go. You have to put your feelings aside sometimes.
Yeah, no, I feel like you can't.
hide
Or
from
you
it.
might be able to, but I don't think it's good to stay away from the mosque for long periods of time. I feel like to like preserve your like iman, which is basically your faith, like you have to go to the mosque, bro. Like you have to go because it's so hard to stay motivated from your house. Like there's, you know, when you pray at home and then when you pray at the mosque, like there's a massive
feeling.
difference and like your concentration.
Yeah.
Like when you're at home, you might just be going through the motions, you know, but like when you're at the mosque, like praying in congregation with like a lot of people, you know, you actually feel like a connection, bro.
It's hard to stay in touch.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely necessary. It might have taken like some strength to go back like after everything happened, but I feel like it had to be done.
Going back, it was a way of accepting what happened, I feel. And only by accepting fate can you like truly grow from it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like every trial and tribulation like strengthens our character. And like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Growth
That whole idea.
mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. Facts, man.
Yeah, no, I feel like it was just necessary to touch on that. Definitely haven't really talked about it in a while.
I wouldn't say I carry anger, but after March 15, like when I'm out and about, bro, I'm on the lookout. Say,
Oh,
Yeah, no.
yo, boys on the lookout. I feel like a security guard outside
the other day,
outside a club, like,
yeah.
looking at every single dude like who's a threat. Especially now that I have a son, like, man,
Yeah, bro, definitely. Like
bro,
with
I'm
my mom
looking
as
at
well.
everyone.
Like when she goes out, like I want to be with her, or like
Yeah.
one of my other brothers to go with her, bro. Because like, there's some weird people out there,
Yeah.
man. Like you never know.
If you think about it now, do you guys feel like when you're out and about, everything's all good from the women that you're in contact with who wear hijab per se, that are more visible? Do you feel like they're at threat?
I don't know, bro. Because sometimes, right, like when I like pray at the mosque or on a Friday or something, like I might go get food with some friends afterwards, like still wearing like my thobe.
Yeah.
And I can notice people looking at me.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm just thinking, like, imagine a girl wearing a full hijab, you know, like that must be tough, eh? So definitely, yeah, like my sisters and like my mum and that, like I do think about that. Like if my mum's going to the mall or something, like, I definitely want to go with her, or like get one of my brothers to go with her or something like that. Because yeah, like people definitely look, bro. And
100%.
like some of those looks are dirty, man.
100%. Like my wife, since she's come to New Zealand, or even after March 15, right? Like 5 times she's been, I haven't been there. She's been either sworn at or somebody said something, you know, like white guy,
Yeah.
obviously. One time some guy said something, my wife put the baby carriage to the side and tried to run after the dude, eh? And the dude freaked out and he jumped back in the car and drove off. That's like obviously her instincts kicking in, but I can't imagine what the Muslim sisters are going through, man. Like,
Yeah, nah.
it's hard to speak on behalf of them.
I feel really bad because after March 15, like I was asked to do interviews on TV, and I was speaking out of my own personal experience, right? Like I was like, oh, this is such a shock, so on and so forth. But like to a lot of the Muslim sisters out there, this wasn't really a shock, you know?
Yeah.
I never said I'm speaking on behalf of anybody, but like that's one thing that will stick with me from March 15. Like yeah.
Oh yeah, I got a good question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Me, I want to finish uni, inshallah. After uni, I want to get a job. I want to go to Melbourne. I want to go to Australia. I got more family there, bro. There's so much more Somalis there. There's so much more Muslims there. And you're not going to have to grow up. Huh?
You're throwing shade on New Zealand right now.
No, I'm not. I genuinely love this country, bro. Like, New Zealanders, like, they're good people. But at the same time, like, one thing I would have liked is to grow up around more Somalis and more Muslims. You know, when I'm older and, like, inshallah, I have kids one day, I want them to be, like, surrounded by people that are, like, similar to them, you know what I mean? Like, a group of friends that they can go to school with, chill with after, go to the mosque with, like, all of that stuff, you know?
That's why I feel like once you finish school and stuff and you decide to settle down and have a family, like having it in like an Islamic country where they're surrounded by people like that is good. But
then again, that's really hard, eh?
But if you go, what's going to happen to the other young Muslims here that are looking for that role model and you leave? What's going to happen to them?
I don't know, G.
where's the loyalty, bro? Stay true to your roots.
It's hard, man. It's really hard. Yeah, we need, and a lot of change needs to happen, bro.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of change, eh? Like,
Yeah.
if we want the next generation of Muslims to, you know, grow up in a good way and
I think we should
keep
hear
it dealing with them.
from Ashraf before we move on.
I'd like to see myself in a new place that really brings out my creativity.
Yo.
Living with some relative comfort and relative happiness, I suppose, yeah.
One thing I hope to see is like a Islamic school. Like if there was a proper Muslim school where you can go from like, we'll say like a primary school, years 1 to 6, and then you have an intermediate and high school combined, years 7 to 13. I feel like that would be very good.
Don't you think that would isolate like Muslims in like one group?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about too. If I was having, like, let's say, for example, like my son or whatever, this day and age, bro, to be honest, I'd probably want him at a Muslim school, you know?
Keep them away from like the kids that be wilding out. Like,
Nah, like, I just wouldn't want him exposed to, like, certain things that kids are getting exposed to nowadays.
Maybe it might be detrimental because, if kids don't like school, then perhaps they may not find like Islam that enjoyable to learn about.
That's a good point.
There needs to be like, you need to instill like a certain sense of passion for it, I guess,
Yeah.
and curiosity.
I think that personally motivates me is just knowing that tomorrow's not promised. So like I see a lot of people nowadays like, oh, I know I'm not a good Muslim right now, but when I get a family, inshallah, and when I settle down, I'm going to focus and tap in more into my deen. But who promised you that? No one's promised that you're going to live to that day. So like, I don't understand that. Yeah, like that's a motivation for me. Like tomorrow's not promised.
If this episode has had an impact on you, please talk to someone you trust. You can also free call or text 1737 to connect with a trained counsellor day or night. Hear Me, See Me is a safe place for young New Zealanders to share their stories. Please encourage others to listen to them. Search Hear Me, See Me on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok, or go to hearmeseeme.nz. Kia kaha.